That'll do it. Unbelievable result.
The day he left the court, people called Patrick Rafter the Prince of Tennis, who had thrown away his own crown, a legend who held the world #1 ranking for a mere 7 days before disappearing as if he had never existed. They whispered that he wasn't strong enough to stay at the top, that his brilliant career was just a fleeting stroke of luck. But behind the whispers, Rafter was building an empire off the court from a multi-million-dollar mansion overlooking the blue waters of the Sunshine Coast, to real estate deals that turned empty lots into gold, in a family life that would silence even the most envious critics. So, where does Patrick Rafter's true power lie? Is it in his 200 km/h serves? Or in the way he overcame doubt to control the game on his own terms today? We'll get to know Patrick Rafter, a man who turned every doubt into motivation to build a lasting legacy off the court, running barefoot under the blazing sun of Mount Isa. Patrick Michael Rafter was born on December 28, 1972, in the mining town of Mount Isa, Queensland, Australia. He was the 7th of 9 children raised by Jim and Jocelyn Rafter. One of his younger brothers passed away prematurely when Patrick was just 5 years old, a quiet tragedy that left a lasting impression on his childhood. Mount Isa at the time was a world both harsh and vibrant. Summer temperatures regularly soared to 40 degrees, 104 degrees, and the sound of mine explosions from the copper tunnels went off twice every morning, a unique alarm clock for the mining community. Kids grew up here amid red dust, blistering hot asphalt roads, and long afternoons of play that stretched until sunset painted the sky. For Patrick, tennis didn't come from the pristine grass courts of exclusive clubs, but from the bitumen courts just a few hundred meters from his house. His father, a sports enthusiast, would often take his children there, where the first shots were hit with an old racket on a sun-cracked surface. One day, Patrick ran barefoot on the steaming asphalt, showing no hesitation, as if the heat only made his feet quicker. The Rafter family was not wealthy, but they were rich in love and togetherness. The siblings played sports every weekend, from cricket and rugby to tennis, turning a small patch of land and a few old rackets into their own world. It was here that Patrick learned grit, the joy of competition, and the habit of making the most of every opportunity to practice. When Patrick was around 8, the family decided to move from Mount Isa to Umundi on the Sunshine Coast. The move was not just for a less demanding environment, but also to open up more athletic opportunities for the children. This transition took Patrick away from the old bitumen courts and toward Brisbane, where he started receiving formal tennis training, laying the foundation for his professional journey. Under the scorching sun of Mount Isa, and while hitting balls on the bitumen courts, Patrick Rafter developed incredible resilience and stamina. No one back then could have guessed that the lanky boy running barefoot in the midday heat would become one of the greatest serve and volley players tennis has ever seen. The serve and volley legend. Patrick Rafter turned pro in 1991, bringing with him a daring but captivating serve and volley style, a technique that was fading as tennis shifted toward baseline power. In his early years, he didn't draw much attention beyond a few bright spots. His first major milestone came in 1990 when he won his first ATP title in Manchester on grass, a victory that foreshadowed his success on the surface. 1997 became a career-defining year.
This is what every kid...
As the 13th seed, Rafter blazed his way to the US Open final and defeated Greg Rusedski 6-3, 6-2, 4-6, 7-5. It wasn't just his first Grand Slam, but the first US Open title for an Australian since John Newcombe in 1973. Any doubt of a fluke victory was quickly erased when he successfully defended his US Open crown in 1998, this time beating fellow countryman Mark Philippoussis in a dominant final, 6-3, 3-6, 6-2, 6-0. Also in 1998, Rafter accomplished a rare feat. He won the Canada Masters, Cincinnati Masters, and the U.S. Open back-to-back, a performance only replicated by Andy Roddick 2003 and Rafael Nadal 2013. In 1999, after months of consistent play, he reached the world #1 ranking on July 26th. Although he held the top spot for only 1 week, the shortest reign in ATP history, that moment remains a defining peak for his artistic playing style. When it came to Wimbledon, Rafter twice had a golden opportunity to win. In 2000, he made it to the final, but lost to a peak Pete Sampras. In 2001, Rafter once again reached the final, this time losing to Goran Ivanišević in a grueling fifth set 7-9, one of the most emotional matches in the tournament's history. Despite not winning the trophy at the All England Club, Rafter is still celebrated as one of the most dangerous grass court players of his era. His career also includes 10 doubles titles, including the 1999 Australian Open with Jonas Björkman, and deep runs in all 4 Grand Slams. He is the 3rd player in the Open era after Rod Laver and Stefan Edberg to reach at least the semifinals in both singles and doubles at all 4 Grand Slams. Throughout 2001 and 2002, recurring shoulder injuries forced Rafter to withdraw from several major tournaments. By 2003, he officially retired, leaving behind a record of 11 singles titles, 10 doubles titles, and over $11 million in prize money. After retiring, Rafter didn't disappear from the sport. He served as Australia's Davis Cup captain, as a talent development manager for Tennis Australia, and was recently appointed as the vice captain for Team World at the 2025 Laver Cup alongside Andre Agassi. Off the court, he pursues a nature-oriented lifestyle in Byron Bay, is involved in the development of the sport of paddle, and maintains his image as a gentleman of tennis in the public eye. From an unknown player to world number one, from striking Grand Slam victories to the decision to leave the spotlight at just 30 years old, Patrick Rafter's journey is a testament that true success is not only measured by the number of days spent at the top, but also by the legacy and style he left behind. From Sunshine Beach to Byron Bay, Patrick Rafter's multi-million-dollar footprint. When the stadium lights went out, Patrick Rafter didn't just walk away from tennis with 2 U.S. Open trophies and a #1 ranking. He left with a solid financial plan he had been preparing for years. The more than $11 million in prize money, a dream for any player at the time, was just the foundation for him to expand into a field with a long family tradition, real estate. The origin of this empire didn't randomly appear after his retirement. It started with his parents, who were pioneering investors on the Sunshine Coast, Queensland. The Rafter family once owned a vast 140-hectare, 345-acre estate in Doonan, near the town of Umundi. At the time, bank interest rates were a brutal 22%, a number that would have discouraged many investors. Still, the Rafters were steadfast in their plan to subdivide and develop the land. They created more than 80 residential lots, each selling for over $250,000, generating a massive profit and putting the family's name on the local real estate map. Today, the area is affectionately known to locals as Rafter Country, with streets bearing the family's mark, such as Rafter View Crest and Jocelyn Drive, a reminder of the legacy they left behind. Following this tradition, after marrying Laura Feltham, Patrick Rafter began building his own real estate portfolio with a distinct personal touch. One notable transaction was his purchase of 2 adjacent beachfront lots on Seaview Terrace, Sunshine Beach, for a total of around $9.5 million. Here, Rafter built a sprawling 200-meter, 916 52 Mediterranean-style mansion with 7 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, an infinity pool overlooking the Pacific Ocean, a wine cellar holding hundreds of select bottles, a private movie theater, and a beach cabana storing over 40 surfboards, a passion he pursued even during his playing career. Every corner of the house reflects a blend of modern convenience and a coastal vibe. It wasn't just a residence, it was a statement of a luxury lifestyle where the Rafter family enjoyed long days of sun, sand, and sea. In 2018, this mansion sold for AUD $15.2 million, making it one of the most talked about real estate deals on the Sunshine Coast at the time. The success at Sunshine Beach helped Rafter continue to invest in more personal and nature-centric projects. He spent about AUD $1.35 million to buy a 28-hectare, 69-acre property in Broken Head, Byron Bay, an area famous for its pristine beauty and artistic community. There, he built a rural Lux family retreat, luxurious yet retaining the rustic charm of the countryside. The estate features a private tennis court and a $55,000 clubhouse, surrounded by thousands of eucalyptus and native trees that Rafter intentionally planted to restore the habitat for koalas and other wildlife. Unlike the glamour of Sunshine Beach, the Byron Bay property embodies a sustainable and grounded spirit, clearly reflecting the former world number one's philosophy of a balanced life. Rafter's asset portfolio isn't limited to large-scale properties. He once owned an apartment on the Gold Coast that sold for over AUD $500,000, a house in Woollahra, an exclusive Sydney suburb worth about AUD $2.4 million, and still holds a 4-bedroom house in Tweed Heads bought for around AUD $540,000. The diversity in location and scale shows that his investments are not trend-driven, but are always based on long-term value, liquidity, and practical use for his family. Interestingly, while many of his contemporaries showcase their collections of supercars from brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, or Aston Martin, Patrick Rafter was rarely seen next to glamorous vehicles. This quiet approach doesn't mean he wasn't interested. It's because his priority was real estate, where value could grow more sustainably. Cars for Rafter were often practical and served his lifestyle, from versatile luxury SUVs for the family to off-road vehicles for long country trips. He may not have competed in the race to own the fastest cars, but his multi-million-dollar mansions with infinity pools, beach cabanas, or tennis courts in the woods are his way of showcasing class. For fans, while Patrick Rafter captivated them on the court with his perfect volley and fiery playing style, off the court, he won them over with his ability to turn land into gold. Every transaction, every home design reflects a strategic vision, choosing prime locations, maximizing scenic value, and turning living spaces into a blend of comfort, art, and personal identity. Today, when people mention Patrick Rafter, they don't just remember the elegant tennis player at Wimbledon or the US Open. They also think of a gentleman of real estate, a man who left the peak of his sport but still makes the world take notice. He is living proof that post-retirement success is not just about a bank account balance, but about building a life that is both luxurious and sustainable, nurtured by a long-term vision and genuine passion. Love from a charity encounter. If his career led Patrick Rafter to nail-biting finals and a #1 world ranking, his personal life wrote a story that was just as warm and enduring. In the late 1990s, at a Starlight Children's Foundation charity event in Sydney, he met Laura Feltham, a former model and future marketing professional. Amid the lively atmosphere, a brief conversation launched a love story that has lasted over 2 decades. In 2002, as his playing career was in its twilight, Rafter and Laura got engaged. The same year, they welcomed their first son, Joshua, a moment that affirmed family would be the new centerpiece of his life. 2 years later, in 2004, the couple held a private wedding ceremony in Fiji, witnessed only by their closest relatives. There were no media cameras or extravagant parties, but it was a testament to a love that didn't need a spectacle. In 2005, their daughter India was born, completing their family of 4. While Joshua pursued his passion for sports, India showed an early talent for the arts and later followed in her mother's footsteps as a model. Rafter has often shared that to be a good father, one must first be a good husband. He and Lara always stand united on major decisions, even when they don't always share the same opinion. The Rafter family's life is intertwined with beachside homes, private vacations, and the tranquility of Byron Bay. In contrast to his public image as an athlete at the center of media attention, Rafter chose to keep his family away from the spotlight, allowing his wife and children to grow up in a safe and healthy environment. In 2024, the entire family appeared at the Queensland Sport Awards, where Patrick was honored as a sports legend. The photo of the four of them smiling radiantly on the red carpet came a vibrant testament to their enduring love story, a journey that not even the fastest serve could shake. For Patrick Rafter, titles, money, or real estate are only a part of life. What he is most proud of is his simple but solid home, the place he always knows he will return to after every trip and every match. In the eye of the storm with Sampras, Patrick Rafter has long been remembered by fans as a symbol of tennis fair play. But even the calmest faces have found themselves in the eye of the storm. One of the most famous conflicts of his career was with the legend Pete Sampras in 1990 after defeating Sampras in the Davis Cup semifinals. Rafter was blunt in a newspaper interview. "We're not the best of mates. I wouldn't go out for a beer with him." Put it that way, the comment caught media attention. 2 years later, at the 1998 Cincinnati Masters, when Rafter beat Sampras, tense reactions and sarcastic remarks only fueled the story, while the two later reconciled. It remains one of the few blemishes on his gentleman of the court image. After retiring, Rafter took on the role of performance director at Tennis Australia, responsible for developing young talent. He was adamant about combating the sense of entitlement he believed existed in some young players, including Bernard Tomic. Rafter's candid statements, emphasizing the need for players to be hungry for success, sparked a wave of debate. Nick Kyrgios, who often defended Tomic, tweeted a criticism of Rafter, another negative comment out of Rafter's mouth. Does this guy ever stop turning an internal disagreement into a front-page headline? Rafter did not retaliate with insults, but stood firm in his belief that discipline and responsibility were vital for a professional athlete. For many, these disagreements showed that he was not just a gentle former champion, but also a manager willing to clash to defend his principles. Although his gentleman image was occasionally tested by these storms, Rafter has maintained widespread respect from fans. Because in retrospect, those conflicts stemmed from his belief in true sportsmanship, the very thing he pursued from his barefoot days under the blazing sun of Mount Isa until he reached the podium in New York. A respected icon. On Patrick Rafter's resume, the numbers alone command respect. 2 consecutive U.S. Open titles, 1997, 1998, 11 singles titles, 10 doubles titles, the ATP World #1 ranking on July 26, 1999, and over $11 million in prize money. He is the third player in the Open era, after Rod Laver and Stefan Edberg, to have reached at least the semifinals in both singles and doubles at all 4 Grand Slams. In 1998, he etched his name into a rare group of legends by winning the Canada Masters, Cincinnati Masters, and the U.S. Open in the same season, a feat only 2 other players have since replicated. However, Rafter's impact extends far beyond his victories. He has been honored multiple times for his exemplary sportsmanship, including 4 ATP Sportsmanship Awards, which reflect his commitment to fair play and respect for opponents. In 2002, he was named Australian of the Year, becoming a national sporting icon. Socially, Rafter used his success to make a positive impact. After winning the 1997 U.S. Open, he donated a portion of his prize money to children's organizations, helping to establish the Cherish the Children Foundation, a fund that supports critically ill children and their families. In '98, he received the ATP Arthur Ashe Humanitarian Award, recognizing his humanitarian contributions beyond the tennis court. He also participated in numerous fundraising campaigns and community events, from supporting children's hospitals to encouraging kids in remote areas to get involved in sports. His name is also immortalized on the Pat Rafter Arena in Brisbane, not just to honor a champion, but to remind future generations of the importance of integrity and community responsibility. For Rafter, his true legacy is not the silver cups, but how he used his spotlight to create opportunities and hope for others. From a boy who ran barefoot on the cracked bitumen courts of Mount Isa, Patrick Rafter built a stellar career, a gentleman image on the court, and a generous heart off it. His achievements don't end with statistics, but have spread into human values that endure over time. Paddle, Laver Cup, and a green legacy. At 52, Patrick Rafter still maintains a fit physique and a busy schedule, but now, the tennis court is no longer the center of his world. His future is being shaped by new projects, both related to tennis and in areas he had never explored before. In the tennis world, Rafter continues to serve as Australia's Davis Cup captain and has accepted the role of Team World's vice captain at the 2025 Laver Cup, standing alongside Andre Agassi to mentor young players in the prestigious team event. He often emphasizes that his greatest goal is to pass on the discipline, dedication, and fair play that defined his career to the next generation. Outside of tennis, Rafter has become a familiar face in the sport of paddle, a hybrid of tennis and squash that is gaining popularity in Australia. As a founding ambassador for Paddle Australia, he promotes and plays in major events like the Australian Paddle Open and the Melbourne Paddle Open. This dynamic involvement shows that Rafter is still hungry to challenge himself, even beyond his physical prime. His future is also tied to a green lifestyle at his 28-hectare property in Byron Bay. Rafter and his wife, Laura, have planted tens of thousands of native and eucalyptus trees, creating a habitat for koalas and other wildlife. He doesn't hide his ambition to turn this property into a model for combining nature conservation with family living. On the business front, in late 2024, Rafter partnered with musician Bernard Fanning to launch the sportswear brand Rally, which features a distinctive yet practical style aimed at people who value both an active lifestyle and aesthetics. This could be the start of a long-term venture, combining his sports experience with his personal fashion sense. Looking ahead, Patrick Rafter is not seeking the same kind of glory he had on the podium. Instead, he aims to leave a lasting legacy inspiring young athletes, paving the way for new sports, protecting nature, and bringing a refined lifestyle into everyday life. Rafter's future is a blend of his unwavering competitive spirit and a desire for a beautiful life, a new chapter that audiences will surely want to follow. The journey of Patrick Rafter stretches from his barefoot days on the hot bitumen courts of Mount Isa to the peak of the ATP World #1 ranking, and then to a wealthy, peaceful, and meaningful life off the court. He won not just with lightning serves or delicate volleys, but by maintaining his gentleman demeanor in all circumstances, from a tearful Wimbledon final to confronting public criticism. His multi-million-dollar assets, smart real estate deals, a happy family, and his community and conservation projects have painted a complete picture of Patrick Rafter's successful, profound, and enduring. He doesn't need to break records or dominate the rankings to prove his power. What he leaves behind is a legacy of living values and the way he used his fame to create opportunities for others. Now, as he looks to the future, Rafter still has the drive of an athlete, but no longer to defeat opponents on the court. Instead, it is to lead, protect, and create. And perhaps, that is the most important match of his life, one where victory is measured by things that last long after the applause in the stands has faded. We are not responsible for any misunderstandings or misapplications of this content. Please consider, verify, and consume this information selectively. If you find this useful, please like, comment, share, or subscribe to our channel. Your support fuels us to tell more stories about tennis superstars.